And as per Stanton, Mr. Paulo Jr. is on that Visage. Last but not least, we do have Eduardo playing that Clockwork.
So we should be seeing both trialers that will be taking the safe lane, and once again, this is where TSG will have to be careful. Zykon, they love not going aggressive trial, because this opens up their supports to rotate freely and at will, and they do fantastic jobs at stacking. I haven't seen games where they haven't been stacking, pulling camps, and grabbing probably the earliest level 3 in the game out of both teams. And then once they hit that, as we all know, they go out, they find a kill in mid, and then that's when the game's on, and that's where TSG or the opposition usually have to start making up for it.
Yeah, Zykon love to sort of work like clockwork with those supports. The moment they hit level 3, they roam into mid and start setting up some ganks, and I suspect we'll see that again this game.
Speaking of
and it's
clockwork,
something that they execute extremely well.
Scumbag Clockwork over on the side here. Trying to use the cogs, trap him into the forest. I mean, that's going to be a little annoying for Miley Zero, since those creeps are just going to be stuck in there for a while, but it's an interesting strategy. I mean, it reminds me of the Earthshaker days. You throw a fissure out, you trap the creeps off, and they just completely ruin their pathing. And Eduardo, he just let the next creep wave walk past him like nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, it's actually bannable, I believe, in most tournaments. The Shaker play now, not allowed to block those creeps anymore. This isn't, well, this doesn't seem to be any nearly as effective as, this is just going to end up pushing it back out, and it's not really denying Miley Zero any farm either, in the long run.
And in the mid lane here, we got Kunkka. He's actually doing pretty well against his OD so far. 6 for 2 against an OD, 3 for 0. Usually you'd see an OD with an early creep kill advantage. I mean, it's very early on, but this could be a sign of more things to come if he keeps getting it. But now he's starting to get that int rolling in. He's going to start having his damage up and about. And that's when Bloodjunk will have to be careful, because Bloodjunk, he's a very aggressive hero, and if he gets too aggressive against an OD who's got a lot of damage against his name, he could find himself the first blood quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think FX will still be fine here in this mid lane. He's currently sitting at 6 for 2, whereas Bloodjunk is 8 for 2. But Bloodjunk's a hero that plays a mid. Wow, this aggression from the Harpy. Chen doing so well to just keep Bloodjunk on his toes. It's annoying. It's just pure annoyance, really.
I know, you can cast a lot of them off. I mean, you can cast 10 of them. Each one does an initial damage of 140, and that's 1,140 damage that you can just consistently harass with. It's just such a pain to have to deal with. And Kunkka, he's out of regen, and he can't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's also such a long range. Like, look how far that is, and it's just like, nope, zap, 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 zap. Come on, just keep zapping.
He might even find a kill if Bloodjunk's not careful. And actually, speaking of kill, we had a Timbersaw who was out of position, got caught off, and then even the creeps helped take down that Timbersaw just then. Yeah, I mean, he came in, he tried to get some XP from the creeps, from the stacked pulling of those supports, and then he will find himself dead to those supports.
Yeah, and once again, Zykon just playing that tri-lane so effectively, allowing them to get some early first blood action. Yeah, this Bane and this Visage, they're very close to the level 3, and once they do, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to rotate into mid and try to get a jump on Affix. What happened to that creep? Did it disappear now? Yeah, it's gone.
I think he's trying to stack these camps up to get one of his wildkins, so he can just sit there and rake in about 2, maybe 3 levels of experience. Unfortunately, he's not going to get it, but they are going to find Eduardo out of position. Lift up into the troll trap. Will we see a Cogs? Cogs traps the lifesteal in. That's not where you want to be. And then at least the Cogs somehow push Miley Zero down, but that's not going to be anywhere near enough to what you need, and he will fall to Miley Zero.
Yeah, the cogs are actually helping a little bit there, just to keep Eduardo.
And actually, in mid lane, we have the support heroes coming in. They will try and find Affix, but Affix is on the ball. He's going to get on out of there. So, very lucky for Affix, he could have found himself dead to Bloodjunk. And if he died early on, that could have been very, very big for Zykon.
Yep, and TSG playing it much better this time around. They're picking off some kills there on Eduardo, and they've actually taken a tier 1 tower so quickly, which is, it works when you have a Chen. I mean, you can do so. You have these skeletons to soak up a lot of damage and just to deal a little bit extra damage to that tower, and at 4 minutes and 20 seconds, that's very quick. It's a smart play as well, grabbing that early tower advantage.
Mm. At least for Eduardo, he's going to get a creep wave or two of experience. He will be able to hit level 5 after this, if I'm not mistaken. And that's going to be useful for him. That means he's just one step closer to his hookshot. Once he gets his hookshot, Eduardo, he loves to roam around and try and find these kills. He'll rotate in mid, and they could easily find a kill on Affix with that nice landed hookshot. Actually, they're charging in on him. We got TP spot coming from Visage, chasing away Marley Zero. Luckily, the tower is only attacking the Troll Summoner. If that was attacking Marley Zero, we could have found himself in a lot of trouble, but that is not the case, and they will back on out of there.
Yep, and let's send Sui up here in top to just a free farm a little bit. I mean, Dragon's here as well, just to ensure he gets his own last hits. But this does give Sui a lot of those, a lot of that experience that he needs. Doesn't really give him too much else though. But once he hits level 6, he will certainly become a little bit more prevalent in this game. He might even start roaming himself and try to set up some kills. We do have Affix now, level 6, but he hasn't picked up the ulti yet. And the Insanity Eclipse, it looks like he's holding off, and he's gone for an early level in Arcane.
And one thing I love about TSG's adjustment from last game is they're now putting the aggression onto Zykon. I mean, it's not direct hero aggression. Actually, we might see a death onto Sensui up top lane. We got an Omni Slash ready. It pops off. 3 slashes, and that's a dead Timbersaw. He got to take out a tree before he died, but that's about all he could do. But as I was saying, the thing I love about TSG is they're putting the aggression onto Zykon. It's not hero aggression, it is map aggression and tower aggression. They're forcing heroes to move out of position, such as Mr. Polo Jr. He's not with Irakid anymore, and those two love to sit next to each other, roam around and set up ganks. If they've split up, then you know you're going to be able to save to work around the map. And TSG, they're just doing a wonderful job putting Zykon a little bit out of their comfort zone.
Structures are fortified.
Yeah, I mean, those two just love to hold hands throughout the entire game. There's very few moments where they're like, oh, now let's like split up. It's like they're twins who are just like, best of buds as well. And we might actually see, for a second I thought Affix and LMK were going to go on Blood Drunk, but they decided to just throw out the Astral for a little bit of extra in back off. But yeah, I mean, exactly as you were saying, TSG are just causing Zykon to move out of their comfort zone a lot more, and it's good, it's smart, because it's these supports, the Bane and Visage, who really set up so many of the kills for Zykon.
And now you have the Chen. He's already starting to push this mid tower down. They had 1 tower down in 5 minutes. They might get a 2nd tower down in 8 minutes, and that's going to be very, very big. Zykon, they're just losing map position, and they just can't work to the way they want it. And this is very, very well played. And there goes the tier 1 tower in mid, and now they've lost 2 very big map positional towers. You've lost your middle, you've lost your bottom, and once those 2 are down, I mean, top tier 1's great, but it's not as effective as the other 2 when it comes to protecting Roshan or getting to your opposition jungle. Now we have a smoke coming up through this top river. They're looking for a kill. They may even find Juggernaut. He's walking through the forest. Will he be able to spin in time? We see a lift. Then he's going to get hit. We got a lot of damage. There's no Senti clips. He's going to start spinning away. Will Bane be able to get in there to help him? He's turning around. He's going to turn around. He throws the Nightmare onto Affix, and he does get taken off by a nice micro from Baskip, putting it onto the Ursa Warrior, and then now it's going to back off. But nice play coming from both sides there, and Zykon going to be able to just sneak on out of there.
Thanks.
That was very close there. Dragon, it looked like he was going to be in a lot of trouble. Was able to spin after the lift off and just managed to get away. It was very close though. If Chen had something like the net troll or something, it may have gone differently, but yeah, it's a very smart plan. Look, they're just gonna go for that tier 1 tower, and I don't really feel like there's much that Zykon can do to contest it too much.
I love this play.
But how much?
I love this play by the Chen. He brought the Ursa out, or the Hellbear Smasher, which is usually the Ursa. He brought it close to the Clockwork. Clockwork threw his rocket. He wanted to get the hookshot off, but the hookshot was on cooldown for about 10 seconds. But Chen didn't care. He was still blocking that Clockwork from being able to get a potential hookshot off onto his allies by just running that Ursa backwards and forwards. So very well played, and vision and awareness coming out by Basket, protecting his teammates from any possibility of a jump in from that Clockwork. Because I mean, if Clockwork jumps in and grabs a hero, that hero 9 times out of 10 will die. It doesn't matter if Clockwork trades his life for it, that hero will also die. So it's like very well played coming out by that Chen.
Yeah, it was big just moving it back and forth, just going hook me, I dare you, come on, do it, do it, do it. But yeah, he's actually just let that bear, the Hell Smasher bear, just die there. He's going to start picking up some other stuff. I wouldn't be too surprised if he picks up some of these Wildkins or tries to go for more of those Trolls. Those Trolls are so good at pushing towers, which so far TSG have been doing great at. They will need some Troll spawns though. I feel like he wants more Trolls, and like they just continue. No, they missed a stack. But yeah, they're still trying to get the Chen is just playing so well. Basketkeeper there, he's gotten some really good creeps to help out his team so far. You know, we saw earlier the Harpy just really putting Blood Drunk in tricky situations in mid.
We're going to Fiend script down on Sunso up top lane. We got a TP support, but Omni Slash with one auto attack will be more than enough to finish him off. He doesn't have enough to spend 3, 2, 1. He does have Spit Up available if he does need to use it. But Mr. Polo Jr., he will be caught out of position, and Outworld Devour will just auto attack him down like he's nothing. And now Dragon's going to throw his spin out, trying to make sure that open wounds is going to be able to grab him, and he should be able to get out of here with too much hassle. However, Marley Zero finds the Bane out of position. Irakid should fall quite easily. TP support coming in by Conker. Can Conker do enough to keep him alive? Marley Zero is not going to be able to find him. Nice brain sap on Irakid. Just enough mana with that one charge to pop it off will keep him alive. So, nice play by Irakid to not give away a kill to Miley Zero.
Yeah, and it looks like just TSG will take this opportunity to do some more chip damage, maybe even get this tower. There's not all that much from the side of Zykon to defend this Blood Drunks here, and so is Mr. Polo Jr., but he's still in level 5, and now it's 11-20 minutes into the game. That is so slow for him. Usually he's level 6 by now, he's roaming around and creating plays with his Bane buddy, but it's just not happening this game. TSG are really handling this extremely well. They saw what worked for Zykon last game, and they're just shutting it down. They're forcing him to play out of their comfort zone.
And this is what great teams do. As you said, they adapt and then they change their style and they can just turn things around. Zykon, they're used to the same thing and they're used to it working 24/7. So when TSG put Zykon out of their comfort zone, Zykon slowly starts to crumble, and this is what's happened so far. I mean, they are ahead in kills, but they've got no tier 1 towers. They've got no positioning. And TSG, they look to be on aggressive the entire time. And Zykon, they're not used to being so defensive. I mean, you can look at them all. They're almost done to hold hands. Usually it's just Irakid and Mr. Polo Jr. Now it's their entire team. Even Blood Drunk, he's such an aggressive mid hero alone. As you saw the last game, he was walking around the jungle up against 4 heroes and he didn't give 2 hoots. Now he doesn't even want to go past the river. He doesn't want to leave his teammates.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think TSG could really be playing this too much better. I mean, some of the engagements could have gone a little bit better for them, but it was, but besides that, they're just playing exceptionally well, and if they continue like this, Zykon are going to get to the point where they're going to have very little opportunity to move around the map. Look at all those smokes getting bought by the Rubik. Looks like they really want to start making some smoke plays, and I feel like that's a good choice. They have the opportunity to, especially since they've got all these tier 1 towers. They can move around into the jungle now and maybe start picking up some of the kills.
And now they're, as you speak about picking up some kills, they're rotating around. They may feign Mr. Polo Jr. He's out of position. So is his fellow support of that hasted Blood Drunk, but he's hasted, so he's got to get on out of there. So it's not too much damage done. Hook shot. No, that wasn't a hook shot. That was just a timber chain. My mistake.
Yeah, and Blood Run getting very lucky with that rune. If it was an illusion, he would have been dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Chen does pick up another one of those trolls. He already has a Wildkin, and they might even just try to go for another tower here, or at the very least put up some aggression. But even in the top lane or the mid lane's a little bit pushed out more. But
And
they might
Bloodjunk
just
finds a hookshot
nice
onto
hook
the Rubik, and LMK guy, he can't do anything. There's going to be more than enough damage to pick him off eventually. We do have a nice Astral and Hand of God trying to keep him alive, but TSG, they're out of position, but now they're wrapping around onto Zykon, but once again, they're still out of position. This entire team of Zykons here ready to take him on, but Lifesteal, he doesn't care. He's manning up, he's going towards Polo Jr. Polo Jr.'s not dead yet, he turns around, throws out the Soul Assumption, and the Bane picks off his second kill. Timbersaw will throw out the Chakram and pick off the Visage, but that is a 2-for-1 trade, and you got the Lifesteal a part of that trade, so that's a very nice move coming from Zykon. And TSG, they were just caught in between a rock and a hard place. They were on either side of Zykon, and Zykon, they were able to capitalize by efficiently focusing a single hero, where TSG, they were not quite compliant. They weren't sure if they wanted to go in or not, and their hesitations what costed them that fight. And actually, we still see a little bit of fight coming on. Nice Familiar Stone holding that Rubik down. We see a 4-stuff in onto the Tim, so he throws out that Chakram. Not enough to kill Irakid though. He's going to keep running, and it looks like Sensui still wants to chase him down. We'll get a nice hookshot. He jumps into that creep camp, but luckily Irakid kept going up and didn't try to rotate down and meet up with the rest of his team. But we do have a courier flying into the opposition, and Lifesteal just says thank you for the courier. Actually, the ranged creep will pick it off, so good ranged creep will pick it off, and the ping's coming out by Rubik. He's happy, and that creep is happy too.
Hero range creep. What was that courier doing though? It was so far out.
Yeah, it was just like, I don't want to live in this world any further. I'm not sure if it had anything on it. I wouldn't be surprised if it did, because it was just going nowhere. But that's very unfortunate for Zykon losing the courier and whatever was potentially on that courier.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was anything on there, but yeah, it's certainly a big pick off and an important one too. It's a lot of extra gold for them, and it's also 3 minutes without a courier. If there was some items on there, it sucks for whoever had those items on the courier, but I'm sure TSG are very happy that that they had that range creeper there at the time.
And now, TSG, they're setting up a concave here. They're waiting for Zykon, but at the same time, Zykon, they had their own concave, but now they've fallen back a little bit. They're waiting for TSG to come at him, and Eduardo, he's getting into position. He's got a decent amount of health at this stage of the game. He's picked up an urn, so it's given him a little bit more strength to be able to survive a bit further, and he's going to be waiting on the wings, ready to jump in at a moment's second with that hookshot, and he's looking, he's waiting. When will he throw it out? He's got to be careful not to jump onto the Timbersaw, because Timbersaw will just chain himself out of there. And it's just a Mexican standoff at the moment, and at that time, there we go, hookshot's in, it's onto Senso, he's turning around, doing all the damage, birds come flying through, it will land onto one here, LMK guy, but then he gets instantly mech'd back up, as if nothing ever happened. Eduardo's trying to slow down that lifesteal, Marley Zero's ripping through those heroes, he does get Fiend Script, in the meanwhile, there goes the Hand of God, and then Zykon, Bloodrock, he's trying to run away, Eduardo will fall shortly after, so he is now down. Luckily, the Conquest did get out of there, but Dragon, on that Juggernaut, needs one more auto attack, he's not going to happen, he will get on out of that, Chakram's not going to be able to find that kill, and Eduardo, those cogs have just been an absolute pain segregating the side of TSG, and that's a 1-for-1 trade. A Clockwork for a Rubik, but there was a buyback on that Rubik. I mean, on that Clockwork, sorry. And actually, Eduardo is still looking for anything he can find. This fight is not over yet. Affix comes flying on in. He gets the open wounds. Eduardo will die in top of his own cogs with that Chakram in the way. Chen, however, will find that last kill. So Hero Chen, Carry Chen, finding the kill just in front of the tier 2 towers.
Yeah, big play there. I mean, Zykon, they got lucky there with several heroes. I believe it was both Dragon and Bloodrunk who got out of there on the smallest sliver of health. They lost the Rubik there, but they managed to pick off a tier 2 and 2 kills on the Clockwork. So some big plays here for TSG, and that certainly helps them. They've now picked off a tier 2 in mid. It's huge. I don't think Chen even had a lot of creeps there as well, so once he starts getting his creeps rolling again, which he really should start doing, he does actually pick up a Wildkin as I say that, and they're just going to rotate in top and try to take another tier 2 tower. This is a big deal, because TSG are just playing this so well, and Zykon, there's very little they can do about it.
Yeah, and Zykon are quite far behind. I mean, look at this Blood Drunk. He's usually very good. He has his Shadow Blade up at 14, 15 minutes. He's only got his Claymore finished. He's nowhere near picking up his Shadow Blade, and it's 18 minutes now. And that hurts his damage output, especially with the Max Tidebringer. He didn't even start to pick up 2 points of X-Master Spot. Most conkers you see 2 points of X-Master Spot, and then you have the perfect setup for X-Master Spot, Torrent, and then a boat to finish it up. So that just shows you how uncomfortable he feels right now, that he doesn't even feel close enough or aggressive enough to be able to pop off that X-Master Spot. And now the tier 2 up top is going to start taking a lot of damage. There's not much Zykon can do about it. They can try, but I don't think they'll succeed if TSG wish to keep continuing the aggression onto this tower.
And Rubik picks up a rocket flare, so it looks like that we might just have rocket flares one way or another. Since Sui tries to go in there on
And
Dragon,
Affix,
has to be careful there not
he
to
does
get on
hold off the Eduardo. Eduardo's in a lot of problem. Will he hookshot out to save himself? No, he doesn't get the chance. He does get lifted up. Boats come flying through. It's going to miss. Omni Slash doing a lot of damage, but it gets instantly mech'd and Hand of God and up. There's nothing you can do against all those heals. However, they did manage to pick off Affix on that OD, and OD will fall. Then Lifesteal, Miley Zero just ripping through the heroes. Bloodjunk will die shortly after. It's 2 for 2 trade so far, but Conker, one of the main sources of damage, is picked off. Visage is now down, and Sensu is ripping through the backlines. And Dragon, he wants to come back in, but he's only got 280 HP. If he tries to, he will die. Sensui will find a kill on Irakid. He should find it. He's going to keep going. He jumps in. Does he have enough of the Well and Death? Will it kill him? No, the magic wand was popped and he's up on top of that hill. Chakram's just going to miss the Dragon. And Sensui, he wants whatever he can get, but he's just not able to find it. And then Eduardo, he hookshots in onto that Wildkin. So poor Wildkin will fall shortly after. Miley Zero, can he armlet toggle his way to victory? He does get earned it up, but he should be able to get out of here without too much problems. But he's got to be careful. If he does armlet toggle at the wrong time, never mind. He will armlet toggle correctly, and he will keep alive and walk on out of there. So very nice work by TSG.
Yeah, Chen could have just sent him back to base as well with the Test of Faith if he really wanted to, but nonetheless, it's all good because Miley Zero survives with the help of that armlet toggling. And that was an excellent gauge in there for TSG. They've evened up on kills now and they've gotten 2 tier 2 towers. That's huge for them. Zykon, they're really on the back foot, and what do you think they can do here? I mean, we look at the side, actually we'll just look at the goal difference for a second. We see that TSG is massively in the lead, sitting at almost 10k, whereas and experience is much more even, but it's really that goal that's hurting them a lot so far. You know, Blood Drunk, as you were saying before, is behind, doesn't have a lot of those items that he wants. Juggernaut's only really got a Battle Fury to his name and Vlad's. It's not too much as your primary carry. So what do you think they should start doing at this point in the game?
Well, Zykon, they're a group that likes to have one guy split pushing and the rest working together. And the rest that works together can usually take on a team. At this moment, they have 5 members they can't take on a team. What they need to do is just wait for TSG to make a little step out of line, try and find some trades of their own. I mean, they're going to get a tier 1 tower up top. They will lose tier 2 tower down bottom, but they need whatever gold they can get. And we've got an infested Timbersaw coming up top through a TP, and we have a Rubik. They're going to find him, and he's going to pop out. And now we've got an Omni Slash coming off, but he's in a lot of trouble. He's not going to be able to find a kill. He's going to spin, but he needs to TP on and out of here. If he stands here for too much longer, he will find a kill, but will he die shortly after? He's going to get lifted up, and he will die. There's not much. He should have just TP'd straight away. I mean, it's not worth it trying to find a Timbersaw. But as I was saying, they need to find tower trades. Sure, they lost a tier 2 tower, but they got a tier 1 tower up top. That helps the rest of your side out. In the end, they just need to keep trying to find towers, split pushing. But in situations like that, they just need to play more smart. I mean, Juggernaut, he got aggressive. Dragon wanted to find a kill. He should have just spun and got out of there. There was nothing TSG would have been able to do about it. But yeah, at the moment, Zykon, they're definitely on the back foot, and they just need to find smart, intelligent trades at this point.
Yeah, it's the trade-off there certainly wasn't worth it for Zykon. They lost their main carry Juggernaut for a Timbersaw, and as well as Lifesteal picking up the kill there, and it was a tier 2 for a tier 1 trade. Yeah, sure, they grabbed a tower finally, but now TSG can be even further aggressive. They can start sieging Zykon up. In fact, we might see a jump here on Eduardo. He's a little bit out of position.
And there we go. We see him. He's on a run. Bazkip, though, he's not going to be able to take him by himself. And Eduardo's just going to run out of there. We hear open wounds coming out onto Irakid. He's going to throw Nightmare on himself, but that's not what you want. He will fall shortly after with one auto attack coming from Affix. And now TSG, for the first time in this game, they've taken the kill count, but that's not what matters most. It's the fact that they've got all these towers and Zykon. They can't be aggressive, then they can't be themselves, and TSG, they've just taken the advantage.
Yeah, it looks like they want to move into this Roshan. If they get this Aegis, it means that they can contest a tier 3 tower potentially, as you know they have that Chen who's great at pushing, and they nice torrent. Looks like we'll have a big engagement here.
And we get a nice counter work coming out from Zykon, and now TSG, they know something's up. They know that they've been spotted in here. We have an Astral Imprisonment out. Then they're going to throw out the Chuck'em. Nice spin. Hookshot comes in, holding 2 heroes in place with Familiar Stuns doing a lot of stun, but the boat comes through. It's going to miss on all heroes. That's a fail boat and a half, but we will see Rubik. He will fall down to that to the Juggernaut. We got a Fiend Script coming out, Miley Zero, but it gets instantly Astral Imprisonment. Sanity Eclipse, popping all the heroes. That's 3 heroes dead. That's 4 heroes down. And Visage. Where's Visage? He's in the middle of nowhere. He will die shortly after. That's a team wipe, and now this is either Roshan or they're going to move towards Rax, as top lane is pushing in, mid lane's pushing in, and bottom lane is also pushing in.
And they're just going to go for that Roshan. FX does pick up that Hex, and the Zykon completely on the back foot now. I mean, once they have this Aegis, it looks like it will just go towards the OD -0. The lifesteal is just way too far out. We fell quite low in that last engagement, but this is huge. This allows them to siege up Zykon and potentially go for some tier 3 kills very early.
And so the Netgraph OD, he's out in front. This is what happens when you get a good start on OD. He's got a Cypher Vice, 25-minute mark, so it's a very, very nice timing for that affix, and that just gives more lockdown to the side of TSG. I mean, you can hold down the Juggernaut once he comes down and spin, Conquer, so he can't even get his Shadow Blade off, which, unfortunately for Bloodrunk, still does not have it 25 minutes. He's been holding onto this Claymore for the last 10 minutes. He just can't finish it, and that's very tough. I mean, without a Shadow Blade, well, a Conquer is not really a Conquer anymore. It's more like, I can't even find a witty pun at the moment. In the middle lane, we have Affix diving onto Dragon. Dragon's going to spin on out of them. I'm surprised that they didn't have any more lockdown, but then OD Astral imprisons himself out of nowhere. Okay, he's just going to walk back to his team.
Yeah, a bit of a misclick there, I believe. Probably just double tapped it. But yeah, now we see that TSG, they're starting to move through this mid lane. Looks like they want to try set up some, maybe some sieging. We do see actually, this is the mechanism that was popped just there. We have 3 centaurs actually, the triple centaur. If they can get up some good stuns from those, that can cause a lot of havoc. But yeah, TSG not quite ready to commit to this yet. Looks like they want to push some of the Adelaideans a little bit more. In the meantime, they're Bloodrunk. He's pushing the bottom tier 1. It doesn't look like it's going to get killed off in time. This tower is also going to finish off, and there's a teleport as well. It will be denied actually from Affix.
And speaking of those centaurs, unfortunately 2 of them don't have mana, and they've got no way to replenish that mana on the side of TSG. Oh, actually, they've got a Rubik, but Rubik doesn't care about those centaurs. No one cares about those centaurs. And we have Dragon, he's smoked up, he's looking, he sees the centaurs. Will we decide to go for the centaurs, or will we try and fight Basket? We have an Rage coming up on Miley Zero. Omni Slash comes off, doing a lot of damage. They've almost found a cool hook shot, will miss by Eduardo. That's a little bit unfortunate. We got Infest into an invisible Timber Saw. That is just insult to injury. He's just gonna walk on out of there. No matter what Zykon do, this game, they just can't find an opening. They can't get let off the hook.
Rubik actually also steals the Omni Slash.
Oh,
I bet he's just gonna be like, oh yeah.
that's harsh. Very nice
Yeah,
pick up though for
and
LK.
Yeah, very much so. He hasn't actually been picking up too many of those big abilities. Like, I haven't seen him pick up a boat or a torrent or anything like that. But yeah, able to pick up the Omni Slash in a team fight, that's certainly going to help them out.
And actually, OMK guy, being the team player he is, gives some mana to those centaurs, so they must have been listening to us on the stream, so those centaurs now have a little bit of mana, and they will now start heading their way down the middle. They've got another 3 minutes on this Roshan, so they don't need to rush it, or onto the token I should say, so they don't need to rush it by any means, and here we go. Here's going to be the final stand. If Zykon can manage to win this fight, they're going to be still in this game. If they lose this fight though, underneath their T3 tower, then I think TSG will have taken game number 2.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is going to be the big play. Here it comes. We do have a fortify, so Zykon, they have to do something to try and defend this.
Dire's middle
Will we see
tower
some
is
great
under attack.
boat setup here? There's a torrent, no boat follow-up quite yet.
Now we
Comes the
have
stuns, but it's a
Familiar
little
Stuns
bit...
doing a little bit of damage. Open Wounds comes out, but nothing. Hookshot comes flying in by Eduardo. He's trapped in with the lifesteal. Once again, not the target you want to be trapped in. Boat comes flying through. Who will it land on? It will land onto two heroes. And it does a lot of damage. Miley Zero taking a fair bit of, but the hand of God keeping them all alive. Definitely keeping Affix alive in the background. LMK guy, he's going to sneak on out of there. The mech keeping him off. Miley Zero somewhat toggling his way to victory. Chakram comes flying through. Will pick off two heroes. One going to Affix. Sensui's now just standing there. Reactive armor starting to stack up on 12 charges, and he's going to walk on out of there. And then all the centaurs, no centaurs left for Baskip, and he will just be eaten alive by the Bane. That is Chen's worst nightmare.
Is under attack.
And now we have 4 heroes at the front trying to go back down and trying to take out this tier 3.
Yeah, they certainly will get this tier 3. I'm not sure if they'll get the racks, but getting tier 3, that was a good engagement for them. They picked off quite a few heroes.
And then we have a little bit of
they're
damage.
gonna get
Eduardo
Stifler
trying
as
to
well.
find Affix.
Affix.
He gets put into the Astral Conquer. Will find Timbersaw, however, on the backlines. But can he get a lucky torrent? Torrent's not up for a full second. He's got the Shadow Blade. He's popped. He's phase boots. Can he chase up the LMK guy? The one creep. He's trying to deny himself to the one creep. He's going to TP, but Blood Drunk is like, nope. He wanted that kill. He desperately needed that kill at the same time. And now there's a ping going out to Roshan. And then they're going straight for the tier 1 tower. So they're not quite sure where they want to go. I don't think they can take either at this stage.
That tier 3 survived on
Dire's
4
bottom
health.
tower is under attack.
Wow. What a shame they don't have the Carpenter of the Treant.
Yeah, I mean, that was... They had a catapult there. I think he just missed because of the uphill ramp, which is unfortunate, but that tier 3 tower is basically just non-existent at this point. I mean, it's a one hit from being killed. Any creep just takes a single shot, it's going to fall. And you know, next time that TSG decide to push up there, they'll probably get the racks as well. They had that engagement for them, it went well. And it was a little bit unfortunate they couldn't get the tier 3. Zykon now they're just going to grab his tier 1, which is a good way to sort of help reverse the situation. Blood Drunk now, he finally has that Shadow Blade. He can be a little bit more aggressive, but still has to be careful. I mean, it's pretty late, and once TSG know about it, and they should know about it soon, they'll start. In fact, there are some sentries already on the Rubik. But yeah, it won't be as effective as it would have been, you know, 10 minutes ago, 10-15 minutes ago.
Yeah, and at this stage of the game, last game, he had his day delves up and running, and he was hitting for a lot of damage, and now he can't do basically anything at this point of the game. I mean, he is now working towards, he's got his broadsword, he's got his blades of attack, and working towards his Crystallis, but once he does have that, they'll help out a lot, and they desperately need all the help they can get. Have a little look at Juggernaut. He's got a Battle Fury and Yasha. Still not the greatest of farms. He is sitting on the same of that Lifestealer, so it's very well to be able to keep up on top of those scoreboards. Conquer is half the net worth of the OD, and that's just basically how this game's been turned out the entire time. OD just snowballing. Eduardo will throw out some cogs at the front of this base, trying to slow down whatever he can. They do decide to deny that tower, so that is a wise choice. But as you were saying before, they will go for these racks, and they will be able to get it without too much contention. Zykon, they will want to try and do something. Familiar Stun 1, Familiar Stun 2, Marley 0 is just going to take a little bit of damage. Unfortunately, the hookshot lands onto the Familiar. That is very, very unfortunate. Now that's a very long cooldown for Clockwork standards. A 60 second cooldown on his hookshot. And now this should mean to TSG we can push in without too much worry. And actually, Boat comes flying on in. Well, Miley Zero is just going to dodge that with his rage form. He's not even going to phase him at all. They still haven't got racks, so this is still worthwhile for Zykon. They've done a nice job so far. LMK guy picks up a healing ward of his own. That is scary. He's going to pop that down, and Miley Zero is just going to heal all the way back up. The entire side's going to heal back up, and they're going to move back up this ramp. And then Zykon, they're just struggling here. There's so much heals coming out inside TSG. They still have Hand of God. They still have Mechanism in 3 seconds. We've got the Astral Imprisonment coming out onto a Clockwork. who did cogs himself in there to try and keep him off of the tower, and then he gets force stuff out of there. Then we see a nice Omni Slash doing a little bit of damage. It will find a kill. Hand of God a little bit late. Miley Zero's been ticked off to the fin screen. That's 2 heroes dead. Conker will get burst down. You get Eduardo gets psyched up. He will fall shortly after the auto attacks of Affix. Affix pops his BKB. He's still killing heroes all over the place. He will finally get picked off. There's 2 against 1. Visage against a Chant and Tibersaw. Buyback from Affix. He's not going to be able to be in the fight for another while. But they've managed to keep this Rax alive, and that's all that matters. Do they have any buybacks? They have a buyback on their Juggernaut, who's going to buy back. They still need 200 more 80 damage. We have Dragon, he's coming in. He's going to start chasing out these 2 heroes. Can he fight a hero on Baskip? The Familiars are trying to chase him down. OD is now here. He says no. He sipes up. He kills. That's a buyback into a death, and that right there could mean disaster. That does mean disaster. That could mean game for Zykon right there.
Yeah, exactly. That is, they're gonna pop before the fight. I'm not sure if they can still defend this though. It's, 200 health. They don't actually do have a hook shot now, but there's the rack.
Middle barracks has fallen.
And now TSG, they can just back out here. They don't need to get that range on. It's fine to just get the melee. They can back out. Roshan's gonna spawn in a minute. They can back off, get the rush, and then go for another attempt at a different lane. And if they do get double racks, it's going to be huge. I mean, Zykon are still far behind. They're behind in the kill count, but they haven't taken a single tier 2 tower, and yeah, it's so painful here. I think one of the biggest problems in that fight was that the boat there from Blood Drunk, it didn't really do anything. I mean, it hit Miley Zero, who just popped the rage and was fine. And then when TSG really started to move up the ramp and siege up, they had no big abilities. The hook shot was wasted by Eduardo. It hit the stationary the familiar. Didn't hit any heroes, and it's just the entire initiation was just a little bit off. They managed to do well to last.
Oh, we
as
have
long
a
as they
smoke
did, but
up by
eventually
Zykon. This could
TSG
be
pushed
very disastrous. They're going to walk out. Moser, but the entire side of TSG are right there in weights. They're going to cancel that fence. Boat comes in. It lands onto 3 heroes. That's a fantastic boat. But the Hand of God is popped. Still keeping him alive. Timbersaw will fall. The LMK guy will fall shortly down in the backlines. There we see Blood Drunk will be picked off finally from Affix. And now Moser, he's going to rip through the rest of the Zykon lineup. Mr. Polo Jr., he's got a lot of armor to him, but he's still going to fall out. Affix in the backlines will find Eduardo on that clockwork. Milo Zero is going to be nightmared up. He's just going to sit as all those heroes run past him. But that smoke was into death. And that's why they say, don't smoke, kids. Hugh.
And both teams actually smoked up there. TSG also smoked and moved out for the jungle, and they just basically head-on collision with each other. It's neither side are really expecting it, and I still think that Zykon ended up coming out on top there. They picked off Blood Drunk as well as Eduardo. They lost the Timbersaw, which does hurt, but they kept the big heroes with the OD and the Lifestealer up.
And now we have a giant piggy in Roshan here. And they will be getting this Roshan quite easily. I suspect they will throw the token onto Miley Zero. I mean, Affix, I haven't seen him die for a while yet. They might want to put it on him. But Miley Zero, this just allows him to be that much more aggressive. Standing there, take a lot of damage. He's got 1800 health, just under 1800 health himself. And his armor is 12 armor. That's a lot of armor at this stage. I think Timbersaw's working his way towards... No, he's not actually working towards his way to Shivers. I thought he was going to go towards the Shivers after his current build. But speaking of Timbersaw's build, I've liked it so far. I mean, he's got Arcane Boots. He went for the barbed armor. Oh, the Blade Mail, sorry. He went for the Blade Mail, and he's reliant on procs from Affix. And the amount of procs he gets. He sits next to Affix, just casting every ability. He consistently gets procs. He doesn't run out of mana. Affix is just a ridiculous mountain pool right at the moment. And Sensui, he's able to dodge these Bloodstone, go for more efficient, cheaper items such as the Blade Mail, and then when heroes start to attack him, he will return that damage and a lot more back at him. So it's a very nice item choice by that Timbersaw.
Yeah, I mean, the Bloodstone would not have really done anything for in this game except for the heal when he dies and the shorter resurrection time, but it's really good. I feel like it's a really
And a
smart
hook
look
shot
to
can
go for
find, and it
small
lands on
and
Affix.
push.
Fantastic. We see gets forced stuff back out, and then Eduardo gets picked off. We have these own cogs being put out by LMK, but that works against them. Boot lands onto 3 here. Instant mech and Hand of God keeping them all alive, but Bazkip, he's going to walk on out of there with that nice ghost up keeping them alive. The Aegis has been popped by Miley Zero. He's going to turn back around. They're going to start working onto this tier 3 tower, and there's nothing Zykon left to do. They've already popped all of their ultimates, and now they're just going to watch as their tier 3 and racks fall.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Yeah, there's no way they can defend this. I mean, no boat, no Omni Slash. They're still trying and they're still doing well.
Still doing well.
And that's it.
Setting Eclipse, Chakram, GG. So that is game 2.
Yeah.
Game 2 will go to TSG. So 1 game apiece. Final game of the grand finals of the Amateur World Cup, Amateur Weekend Cup September is coming up very shortly. I'd like to thank you, all the viewers, to tuning in. It's been a great tournament so far. I'd like to thank the Cybug and Veno for setting up the tournament once again and having us along. And once again, Game 3 is coming right up. Thanks for watching.